So I was like, well, I could open a strip club, but that takes money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I need overheads, I need money. Da, da, da. How can I use these women to make me money? I don't want to put them on the track because they're my women. I don't want other people touching my chicks.
How did we end up with men like that? I think we should have a serious conversation. Hey guys, welcome to the High Ground. My name is Fabio, and today I saw a video put out by Pints of Aquinas, a YouTube channel that I will really recommend, about a discussion that one of the guests from Pints of Aquinas had on the Whatever podcast. I never watched that one, but it's basically a podcast that gets a lot of OnlyFans girls into a row, and then there are just men talking to them about dating life and basically lecturing them how they should behave. And within that podcast, the topic of Andrew Tate came up because one of his seemingly good friends was on that podcast. And to be honest, I swore to myself that I will just not comment on Andrew Tate. In my opinion, the guy is just so ridiculous. It's just not worth. But by seeing this video from Pints of Aquinas, I thought it might still be worth giving or not commenting on Andrew Tate, but maybe giving an alternative view on manliness. Maybe let's start with the fact that I am not coming with a woke perspective to the topic of manliness. On the opposite, I'm a very traditional person, and I think that strength, independence, resilience, aggressiveness, those are all maybe typical manly character traits that we should embrace in society. But I also see that in today's society, especially for young men, it can be very difficult to live with their masculinity, to express their masculinity in a way that is appropriate to its nature and that is not fully feminized. And I understand their frustration with that. But I also know that objectifying women, just dealing with worldly goods and having a, well, burnt soil attitude towards relationships is not the way to go. And in this video, I want to present an alternative that is rooted in 2000 years Christian tradition and maybe 8,000 years of Western Judeo-Christian tradition. The first point I'd like to discuss with you is that the type of masculinity that is displayed by Andrew Tate and his followers as a response to today's mainstream view on how masculinity should look like is not the full picture of masculinity. It's good to have strength, but there is no point in being strong only to help yourself. You should be strong to protect others. It's good to be independent, but being independent does not mean to not care about other people, to live on your own island. No, being independent means that you can stand your ground regardless what the world does, but you stand your ground for other people and together with other people. And also, as I said, resilience. Resilience doesn't mean to don't have emotions, and being hungry, thirsty or horny is not an emotion, right? Resilience means that you are able to deal with your emotions and to deal with your emotions in the circle of your friends and family in a constructive way. So resilience is a big topic anyway. I made a separate video about that one. I will link it somewhere up here. But that's what I'm, first of all, what I'm really missing in all this talk that I see from Andrew Tate and his followers, that they have a very narrow picture of masculinity, a very self-centered picture of masculinity. And a man shouldn't be self-centered. That's something for a boy. A man should know the things that are important, and if he doesn't find anything important in his life other than himself, then it's a pretty poor guy. In that regard, since I was talking about thousands of years of tradition, let me give you a quote. It's from the Bible. It's Ecclesiastes 3:1. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven. Now, if you look at that, for everything is a season. There is a time when strength means that you will have to lead the way, that you have to step up and be a leader. But that also means that there is a time where you can follow others' lead. You don't have to constantly prove that you're an alpha guy or a sigma or whatever is the newest trend there. If you're really constantly concerned with that, then you're not a leader. And in that regard, being strong, being gentle, being a leader, but also being a follower, all that is part of being a man. And that's really not shown in what those people say. Another quote, if we don't want to be too religious, is from Abraham Lincoln that I also found very interesting. He says, "Nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power." And if we look at that, manliness is really not about dominating other people, but it is about how strong and how wise you can use the strength that is given to you. You can also see there that there is this dichotomy, this full spectrum of what it means to be a man, and not only to be the biggest guy in the room. The second point I'd like to discuss is the importance of self-mastery. Especially in the video, I noticed from Pints with Aquinas, the guy that they're talking about, he argues that the man can have as much women as he wants, but a woman should stay loyal to one man.
One thing I can say as a man is I know for a fact that a man can love a woman and sleep with other women and not be in love with those other women.
Men and women also are wired.
Yeah, completely
very
different. And I agree with you. And that's
I cannot have sex without
that's why it's a
having
problem for
emotional
me.
connection.
That's why it's a problem for me. So if I love a girl, there's no having sex with other guys.
Yeah.
Because if she loves me, she doesn't even see other men.
Yeah.
You know, other men are invisible. If you're in love with a man, other men are invisible.
Now, every man who is maybe honest knows that there are these deep urges to have women, right? I mean, I'm married, and from a perspective of nature, of course I would be inclined to not only have one woman, but I would also be inclined to just take a big stick and beat anybody to a pulp that is smaller than me if he has somebody that I want, right? So these are not good urges. They are not moral, and it's not what we should do as a man. On the contrary, we should try to master those primordial urges. We should try to be better than that. And this mastery of oneself, denying oneself for a bigger purpose, denying being a maybe currently satisfying man for being a good man, that is what true manliness is about for me. The third point I'd like to address is the materialism that they show. And I understand that already, I think Nietzsche said, first we have to take care about food, then we can take care about morals. And yes, our basic needs should be fulfilled. But if you have the fifth Bugatti, that will not make you more fulfilled than if you just have the car that you need. Yeah, you might be a car guy, but in the end, there is this this phenomenon that is called the hedonistic paradox. People, so they surveyed people who were living a very hedonistic lifestyle. And hedonistic lifestyle means the main goal of your life is chasing pleasure. And what they found is that despite these people always chasing pleasure, they were really not happy. And on the other hand, people who were actually working for something bigger than themselves, they got more happiness out of that in their overall life compared to the people just, chasing pleasure. And that is something that, we should honestly consider. I mean, if you look at those guys, they're a little bit like the bullies in a nightclub, right? Constantly an aggressive attitude. And I always think, if I look at them, dude, you don't look like a fulfilled person. Specifically, in the podcast I mentioned, the lady who was discussing this friend of Andrew Tate, she asked him about his daughter, and he was so triggered and got so offended, right? I mean, it was really me on the highest level, just a joke. So, in my opinion, if you really look for happiness, then you can't look for material goods. Of course, you should cover your needs for you, for your family. That's also part of being a man. But if the material world, worldly goods, is all that you desire or all that you're chasing after, you will likely not find it. So get yourself something that is bigger than just things that you can park in your garage. The fourth point I'd like to discuss is, and I already touched on it because I think it's really one of the core values a man should have. It's serving your community and others. All those guys who claim that they are the epitome of manliness, they all have only themselves in their focus. I believe that you can find fulfillment as a man if you serve with for your community, if you serve others. Because only then, not only as a gatherer of pleasure for yourself, but as a warrior, as a protector for others, you can really fulfill the role that a man is meant to have. May it be, in your opinion, by nature or by God's divine plan, whichever you're following there. But serving others is really the core of what it means to be a man. Maybe also to give you a quote on that one from Martin Luther King Jr., of course. Life's most urgent and most persistent questions is what are you doing for others? And I think he was on point there with showing that really the things that you're doing for your community are the things that will give you the greatest fulfillment. Not chasing skirts only because you need them to, prove to yourself that you're a man. Because it doesn't prove anything. Now, these were a few points that just came up for me that I spontaneously wanted to discuss with you. I'm very interested what you think are manly values, manly qualities. In my opinion, having as much women as you can and driving a fast car is nothing that is very manly. Even Harvey Weinstein could do that, and he's not very manly. I mean, do you want to be that guy? Well, I don't, right? I am more or less disgusted. In my opinion, being a man is about self-mastery, respect and service to others, serving your community, and ultimately fulfillment in life that you will not achieve by only worldly goods. Again, I can really understand the urge to push back on the current mainstream narrative on how manliness should look like. Because if I look around in Hollywood and what the news are showing us, that's also not something that I would consider manly, right? But I think there is a better way than the one that is shown by Andrew Tate. And maybe, yeah, today's video gave you at least a few pointers what I think a better way would be. Okay, so thank you very much for watching this video. As always, I appreciate your time. Remember to follow the channel, click that notification bell. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.